hot.
Hello and welcome back to my Sister's Keeper radio show on Power Play Radio Network and PowerPlayRadioNetwork.com and Power TV. Be sure to check us out on PowerPlayRadioNetwork.com and view us on our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter page at My Sister's Keeper. I am Tawanika.
I'm DeAndrea.
And I'm Danita.
And I'm Alonda.
And we are
My Sister's Keeper.
MYSSSTAS. Yes. Speak life into someone so they achieve success. So if you're joining us for the first time, tell you a little bit about us. We've come together to dispel the myth that black women can't get along. We sit before you from four women from four different sororities who come from all walks of life, and our experiences have led us together to empower other women. We share the same foundational beliefs of what it means to truly be my sister's keeper.
And our focus is actually on the whole woman, restoring and rebuilding the inside so it can intensify the beauty that you are on the outside.
And we are an interactive show, so we welcome your questions and your comments, and we want you to tell a friend, tag a friend, tweet a friend to tune in now, and welcome to My Sister's Keeper. So in today's segment of To My Sisters, we will wrap up the Chronicles, and on our last show, we ended with Know Your Worth, then Add Tags. Tonight we're talking about Know Your Worth, move forward and not backwards. That's right, ladies and gents. It's time to talk about how to keep moving forward. We discussed that knowing your worth takes time and it takes daily work. Learning who we are, accepting who we are, it requires us first to take a look in the mirror and do an honest self-assessment. Once we peel back the layers and admit who we really are, then we will begin to process the truths about who we were created to be. As we strengthen our minds and grasp the realities of the fact that we are actually priceless, we can then walk to the knowledge of our power. And we can walk in that knowledge and power because God created us in His image, and He expects us to live like we know and understand that. Excuse me. So once we know our worth, after going through the process, we should live our lives to the fullest. Sorry, y'all. We may have to remind ourselves daily of who we may have to remind ourselves daily through I am affirmations until we fully believe it and grasp that concept ourselves. And we may have to go back and review often, and that's okay, as long as when we go back, we don't get stuck there. Know your worth, move forward, not backwards. Take the past and learn from it, ladies and gents. Let the past failures guide you in your growth. Try not to keep repeating the same mistakes, doing the same things that didn't work. That's kind of insane. Do whatever it takes to progress daily, and moving forward takes concentration, efforts, daily doing something to push yourself along. Moving forward requires action on your part. It requires me to do something to be able to move forward. So don't grow weary when growing, because progress could be quick or it could take some time. Whatever your path is, flow in it, grow with it, and keep moving forward. Move forward, moment by moment, day by day, and watch the progress. Even if you fall, get up, dust off, and keep moving. Moving is key. So ladies, let's talk about how we prevent ourselves from moving backwards.
Don't repeat what you did before.
What else? What else can we do to avoid moving backwards or getting stuck when we take a look back?
I think you have to sometimes distance yourself from certain crowds, certain people. People can cause us to go backwards. Revisit some of the same habits and find ourselves in some of the same situations. So it can be family members, friends.
And I think I read something today that talked about, or watched a video that talked about sometimes you have to disassociate yourself from certain people when you're growing, because they're not necessarily growing, or they're not necessarily where you are at this stage of life.
Right.
I think for me, moving forward is, sometimes looking at, you have to address it again. It goes back to understanding that the past is the past. However, what keeps us in the past are our memories. Memories are just thoughts. They don't have power. We give them power, and with those thoughts, they become sticky thoughts. And those sticky thoughts become emotional reactions. And so, one of the ways someone told me that the best way to look at it was that basically memories are events that, thoughts just reoccurring. If you can just go through and lose the interest in them, if you can go through and just actually understand what healing means, we get sometimes we get so stuck on waiting for that apology. Like, I'm just going to wait for someone to tell me I'm sorry so I can move on, or we try to justify what we're thinking, that the thinking is right, and like, I'm stuck right here. But again, what I just said, see how it was easy to come out, I'm stuck right here. Justification means you're stuck on either being right or you stuck on the place that you're in. So, we look at, we'll say, just forget about the past. Sometimes a lot of people look at people who are moving forward and say, oh, did you just forget about the past? No, it's impossible to forget about the past. I really believe that. I also know that when we were waiting for time to heal our wounds, and that's another thing, somehow we look at men, and sometimes men, they just jump back out there so quick. And that's in any type of relationship. Sometimes men have a way of just moving on right then and there. I mean, maybe in the latter time, they take time to process and say, oh, God, what have I done? Or what just happened? But, you don't wait for that time, because they go back out there. But what we do know is that over the span of time, it heals our wounds. And so, again, don't wallow in your emotions. Don't say that... if I could redo the past, I think that's what I was trying to say. Yeah. If you can go back and if I could redo this, I would do it this way. Well, that's you can't. Coulda, woulda, shouldas. And the sad thing about it is, if someone gave you the opportunity to do it again, would you be cognizant of these things that have happened and would try to redo them? See, sometimes we begin opportunities going forward. See, if you go forward, you're still given the same opportunities, because they're called tests, people, and they're tested, and every time you say you want to do better, you get more of that test. So to show you that you're just not there yet. So sometimes being stuck on, if I could redo the past, well, you're going forward, and some of us still choose the same partners, some of us still choose the same job, some of us still choose the same circles. So guess what? Don't ever say you want to redo the past when that's what your life is. Every day is Groundhog's Day of hell, because you're stuck.
Every day is Groundhog's Day of hell.
It's like you're in that wheel, like little...
The gerbil on that spinning wheel, and ain't going nowhere.
We're not going anywhere.
Just spinning that wheel.
Moving fast. Ain't going nowhere.
So, we've been talking about know your worth, and we've touched on, loving ourselves, self-worth, and now we're talking about moving forward and not moving backwards. There's steps that we can take to do this, and it's not an easy process all the time. It's not an overnight process. So I think if we can condition our minds to understand that if we do the work, we'll get the results. And even if we slip back, or if we, mess up one time, that's not the end all be all. Right. And be a little forgiving to ourselves, so that we can pick up and, start from where we are and, make some progress from that point. And it's not easy to look at yourself and to own your ish. To own your ish. And always, you know, be fair about where you are, because we want, like,
Take responsibility.
yeah, you're right. Do you understand? We're fine. We're comfortable where we are, so we're accepting of it. And growth and moving forward is not a comfortable thing. It's not always an easy thing.
No,
So-
it's something new. If you're not going to move backward, then that means that you're going to make every effort not to repeat the same things over again. So therefore, going forward means requiring stepping out of your element, stepping out of your comfort zone, stop being content, get off the sofa, stop watching Lifetime and Hallmark, and get out and do some things. So,
Find out who you are.
right,
Right.
and love you. And I think that's the hardest thing, because a part of not going backward means that you got to redefine yourself and actually understand who that redefining of yourself is.
And it may be trial and error. You know, if you don't get it right the first time, then does that mean stop or slump back and, oh, I'm going to say, no, you have to try. Okay, if this doesn't work, okay, maybe that's not my lane. Let me find it. Let me try something different. Let me explore something different. It's not an easy thing to do. But if you're dedicated to making that change, truly making a change, then you're going to have to put yourself out there. You're going to feel exposed. It's going to be new. It's going to be different. But
Right. And, you know, a few shows back, Dee talked about, you know, that closet, all that baggage and all that stuff in the closet. Well, you know, when you're going forward, you got to clean out that closet. You got to dump that baggage. And sometimes that's hard. You know, I don't know how many of you have seasoned parents and you had to go to their house and clean out a closet, and you go through, no, don't throw that away. I can keep this. I can use this. You're like, you ain't used it in 10 years, but you still want to use it. Oh, okay. So I'm going to send you to the grocery store, and it's going to the trash. You know? But you know, sometimes that's how we are. You know, it's like, oh, well, you know, you pull through the box of memories.
Yes.
Oh, I remember this was our oh, okay. Well, if I'm starting over and that has majority bad memories, why am I holding on to it? Because even in the process of me doing that one good, then it comes to my mind is, oh, but this is why it turned bad. And that's in anything, whether it's work, whether it's relationship, whether it's family, whether it's friends, it doesn't matter. And so when we're going forward, you have to be willing and have to be willing to sacrifice, to let go of a lot of dead weight.
So, let's talk about, like, how can we let our past mistakes or our past failures guide us in moving forward, being able to move forward.
You say, how can I pass?
Yeah, how can we let the past failures or our past mistakes guide us in being able to move forward or being able to grow?
I mean, again, if you want to heal from the past, you have to pay attention to your present moment experience. I mean, I know a lot of times we look at, oh, the past happened, but, you know, I was told that everything that happens, everything that happens in the present. Mm-hmm. So, you know, even though things happen to us in the past, what we're feeling now is a present experience. The moment is happening now. And so, anger and hurt from the past is happening now. So, you know, your present moment experience in the now is what keeps the past alive. And so sometimes if we can understand that, you know, our suffering is always in the present. And so if you change your perspective, because, you know, it's easy to listen to somebody and say, you know, I can listen to your story, and then I start connecting to your story. If it's a down, you know, if it's a real sad story, you know, you start connecting, like, that happened to me, and oh my goodness, and all of a sudden we both feel some type of way emotionally. And so, but, you know, you don't know how mentally and spiritually strong people are, so they take that and then they harbor that, and that becomes a story on top of a story. Have you ever met somebody that can tell you one story and then you come back and they retell the story again? It's like something else happened in it that was 10 times the experience of the last story they told, and they keep having these experiences, and every time you're like, oh my God, and that happened too, and that happened too. You're like, oh man. that because again,
Really?
Oh,
has
man.
that happened? Has that happened? So you've got to really ask yourself: is this person harboring their own negativity? And I don't want to say negative emotion,
It's what
but it is a
them.
negative
It gives
emotion.
them energy.
It gives
Their
them
negative
energy.
gives them energy.
And so you're stuck there in the past. But if you want to hear again, I'm gonna say it again. If you want to hear from your past, put your attention on your present moment experience.
Right.
So if you focus on something different, focus on how you feel right now, and you take that. And I'm not saying there are people out there who are, again, they are emotionally broken. So I'm not saying it's just I'm saying when you get past the point, because sometimes we get past the brokenness, but we find ourselves drifting back there. Because all it takes is one traumatic experience or something else to say, oh, forget it, life's not fair, I give up, this job sucks. But it's in the moment of, but I'm still alive. But I'm still here right now. And so to our people that are out there, who are discontent, I guess, about life and how, just how it feels and how you feel like your role is, you really got to take ownership of, you are in charge of your emotions. You are in charge of your reactions. You are in charge of your responses. So, and you also have to remember that when you plant those seeds, and if it's seeds of untruths or if it's seeds of not feeling like you're fitting in, you really got to ask yourself, well, what am I doing to make this better?
Because you're the common denominator.
Right.
In every situation.
In
Because
every
it's your own
situation.
situation. Like, you
Right.
can only walk away with what happened in your
Your life,
experience
right.
at that time.
You can only remove you. I can push you out the way,
Right.
But
Right.
I can only walk away with me.
Right. And I'm the only one that can walk away feeling a certain way. And as long as I choose to feel a certain way, it's done. Like I can have an argument with my boyfriend and I say, hey, he said, well, I apologize. And if I keep going on and on about he just apologized, guess who's still in the moment? I'm in the moment.
Oh, wow.
And
So, but the problem, but hold on, because ladies, we want to
do.
be heard. The reason why we're not accepting that apology right now is because we want to be heard in our moment.
Right.
And so it comes down to where the two that you have to compromise. You put the apology on there, but understand what you're apologizing for. Don't throw the
That's
apology
true.
out there just
I'm
because
sorry.
you want me to start talking to you again, or just because
You want me to shut up.
You want me to shut up.
up, actually.
It's not that serious. But when your
Okay.
but when their emotions have passed away.
Right.
But everyone that
man.
passed away, therefore, again, so it still comes back to, but what you do walk away is, either I can make this conversation, the situation go away and just say, okay, I forgive you, or I can choose to stay, if I feel like where I am until the person comes around. But either way, you still choose. So, what I'm saying? Sometimes we say, oh, well, because he did this or she did this, it took away from my option of how I should feel. No. Things can always happen, but at the end of the day, you still choose how you feel in that situation. And that's where time comes in, because some people need more time to come to the conclusion of, I'm ready to have this conversation with you. I'm ready to forgive you. I'm ready to move forward with this. And guess what? That's on them. So now the other person has to say, I apologize. Let me step back. Because
And sometimes it never happens. So you still got to take ownership of yourself.
Right.
And do what you're supposed
You
to do.
cannot wait for them.
So-
if you never get it, it's not about them.
And if you
That's
never
it.
pick up the phone to answer, so I can't apologize, just going to put that letter in the mail, send a postcard, look, boo, I apologize, and keep it moving.
Oh,
a done
so that's
deal.
the other thing when you say, what should you do to move on? Sometimes you have to write it down. Write a poem, write a letter, do anything. I mean, don't put the stamp on it if it's, a whole kill yourself letter. But sometimes you just got to write it down, ball it up, rethink it. Don't put it in your mail with all of the things so it accidentally goes out. But, sometimes getting that out, journaling, talking
Yes.
about, let me tell you
Yes.
what happened. This is how I felt. So when you feel that way, guess what you can come back to? You're like, oh, or just pick up your journal. You'll be amazed if you actually write
Write it
down.
down.
You'll see, like, I've been here before. I've done this
Right.
before.
Did
I've
I
got
really
that
say
experience.
that?
Did I really? Oh my God, I was crazy. Why did I do that then? And you just oh
Yes.
God, help me, take my life right now because I was crazy.
They
But-
really made me go there.
So then you realize, how do I don't want to go this place anymore. I don't want to feel like that. So who has control of that? I do. Grief
Right.
is real, but the way we stay in grief is how we handle moving forward. So
Right.
if you stay there and you linger so long, and again, we're not talking about, deaths those are things that are permanently removed. But but one thing about it, we were talking in the car, that if we get over this forever impermanence, that we would know that nothing is forever. But we have, forever is more of a I don't want to say an illusion, but it's one of those things that we think we have. Just like time. I always tell my students time is illusion. If you don't wake up tomorrow, you never had it. So therefore, it's just what you, time is, if you never wake up, it was never there. So, forever is like one of those. One of those, and so you got to realize that I may not have forever, but what I have is this moment, this present moment, and how I choose to share it will dictate how I feel later once that forever is removed. Oh yeah, that's
say that again.
You said a word.
So,
yes.
How I feel now.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start. I'm gonna take it back because I surprised myself on that one. It was, okay, so
you just talked up on something.
Yeah, I did. Mm-hmm. So forever. If I stop expecting, basically, if I stop expecting forever, I just really need to focus on my now. I need to focus on how I feel now, so that if forever never comes, or when forever is taken away, I still remain true to me. I still remain who I am, because it's not promised. But and so tomorrow, because forever is part of tomorrow. Let's say that we agree. Forever is part of tomorrow.
That's it.
If forever is part of tomorrow, I can't dictate what's going to happen there. So right now, going back to what I can have control of is the present. I live in the present. How I feel about the present. I can't go back to the past.
Right.
So if we wake up every day and say, in the present, how do I feel? And in this present moment, if I feel this way, how will it affect tomorrow? How will it affect forever? What do I do? I become responsible. I become more accountable. I become more cognizant and thoughtful of my interactions with people. Right. I become more cognizant of, if they didn't give me what I need, can I still walk away and still be okay with me? And so again, it's going into the process of finding yourself. You have to learn to find yourself. And it is a process. I don't want any, some people may look and say, oh, they may have it together. You do this, she does that, she's involved. There were so many down times in life.
Go with me behind that closed door.
Yeah, behind that closed door. Where we watching Lifetime on the couch. When we become hermits?
Hermits.
Yeah, we become the house hermits.
The couch away.
But those are things. That's part of the process. So if people are listening and you're in that place now, understand it's part of the process. Trust the process. But you trust the process and listen to people who have been through the process.
Right.
Because everybody can't help you there.
You know, and you have to do what you need to do for you in your own time. I mean, you can listen to someone. It's helpful to have that guidance and have that person tell you. But that may not be your time. It may not be your time to be in that place that they were in with what they shared with you.
Right, and don't let that guidance become your God.
Right.
Because when you let that guidance become your God, then you hold on to their every word. And then when something goes wrong, you blame them. And then once again, you've taken the focus off of yourself. So yeah, but for a few minutes, let's talk. We have some people online. Hi. Hey y'all, Willie's back, y'all. Hey Willie. Willie said that the past is your strength. It's what makes you stronger, like working out. Really, Willie, you had to add the working out. Oh, okay, sure. And then Daphne Hill said, "Speak the word." She said, speak the word, word in all caps. You have to let go and learn to trust God and learn to continue growing. Press on, learn to love yourself, and forgiveness is important. Hello, ladies, enjoying the talk. Hey, Daphne. And then Nanette said, well, she's been chiming in. She's about, what if they owe you money? I won't answer that one. But she also said earlier, she said that motivation, what don't kill you makes you strong. And then China Black says, yes, say that. And then Nanette, actually, she just chimed in and she said, but all of that takes a lot out of you. And it does. It does. It truly does. And I think Dee chimed in on it earlier. You go through those stages of grief. Right. You know, I mean, and you really do. I think you know, we look at that just from in the natural, but I think you really do go through stages of grief no matter what you go through. Right. And I think until you actually go through all 5 of them, you experience, you're going to constantly be in that turmoil with your inner being. So, yeah. But we thank y'all for joining tonight. Hey, Etta! We thank y'all for joining tonight. The topic is Know Your Worth. moving forward and not backward. I think, is it time to pay some bills?
I think it's time to pay some bills.
Bills. Can we
Like, y'all gonna be a minute.
Hey.
So anyway, y'all, so while we're waiting to go pay some bills, y'all, Dee just got back. She had a relaxation. Can't y'all tell? Look at old Stella.
Hey, Stella.
The beach is on me. The beach is on me.
Yes.
Woo! I had such a wonderful time. I had such a wonderful time.
Did you?
Yeah, I told them I almost lost my life and gained my life all at the same time.
Woo!
I'll tell y'all about that
Can
when
I
we
get
come back, though. But stay tuned. You listen to or watching My Sister's Keeper here on PowerPlayRadioNetwork.com.
Be back shortly. Facebook will be back in a moment.
Ready? You're hot. Mic up.
True. That's
And they're
right.
gonna find something to her. I don't give a damn if it was from the 12th grade and you and the boy got caught in the gym. Somebody gonna bring it up.
They're gonna bring it up, and they're
Willie,
gonna
stop talking
hold
about
it.
me.
They're gonna. They're gonna.
But
hold
you
it.
also have to realize that in moving forward, you have to be like Novocaine. You got to be known.
Wow.
Because you know there's gonna be some stuff come up.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't nothing ever moved forward that didn't roll backwards.
But can you break away from, I guess so then how do you become mentally tough, or when are you ready to, so I guess really the question is, when you're moving forward, do you really tell people that you're moving forward? Because sometimes people see your happiness and they attach themselves to finding a way to bring you down because misery loves company.
Let me explain something to you. When you're moving forward, first thing people gonna say is, and don't get me wrong, first thing people gonna say, won't he do it? But you have to realize he ain't gonna do it if you don't put in the effort.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
Faith without works is dead.
Yeah.
He's not gonna move you forward if you have put in no work. You're not gonna you have these so-called people want to move forward, but they also want to build a bridge over troubled water. So how you going to, instead to try to get to what God have for you forward when you're not yet ready to go back to go through what you need to go through to move forward?
Trust in the process.
You can't move forward with a dry feet. You got to get your feet wet, and every once in a while your head have to go under.
Oh, wow.
So I mean, come on. The Lord built the body in so many different ways that even if you go under, if you just tilt your head just an angle to the back, your whole body will float, and you will start moving forward again. Depending on how you roll. Now that's when it comes into the way of the motion of your arms. If you move your arms backwards, you're going backwards. But if you move your arm forward and you go through the struggle, you begin to move forward. It ain't going to be a fast progress. It's going to be slow. But sooner or later, you'll find yourself no longer floating, but you'll find yourself swimming. Now you're swimming and you're moving through the water like Michael Field. And next thing you know, you're coming out of the water. Now that which tried to hold you down is what gave you strength and made you strong. So the next storm that came your way, you was able to endure it because you have already been prepared for it. So moving forward, it's going to take a lot, and you're going to have a lot of enemies. You're going to have a lot of who's going to say, let's just say, camouflage themselves just to see where they can move with you. But the first backfall you have,
I knew that.
watch how they escape from you.
I told you.
I knew you wasn't gonna do it. Yeah.
Wow.
So what
So you got to realize in this, your circle has to be small.
Yeah.
Yes.
Your circle
You
has
can't
to be
play
small.
MC Hammer and try to take care of the whole neighborhood. Your circle is going to have to be small. And let me just let you in on the truth. Those that's going to really be trying to hold you back, they're not going to be the one from the outside. They're going to be the one from the inside.
Wow.
That's true.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yes, those closest to you will do the most
Those are
damage.
closest to you when you think you're locking your enemy out, you're locking them in. So yeah, it's going to come from good friends, best friends, and it's going to come from family members. But isn't it funny how it's going to come from best friend? Best friend is only your best friend when you're on the same level of them.
Just had that conversation.
Yeah.
But you best to believe when your level go up,
And they are not where you
that
are.
best friend level going to go down.
It's really a preacher.
So, I mean, that's when it comes with the point of how you engage into things and how you go forth into the conversation. And moving forward is going to be a way that you're going to have to look and make sure you pull in the right strings and taking the right people with you. But you know what I mean? Hold up. Don't run me yet. Because even out of the 12 disciples, you had a devil. So you think I'm saying this? I'm saying maybe one of the ones at the table with you could be a devil. I'm just saying, because you're gonna have to realize that somebody there can only do things, and somebody that might not. It might not even be the one that take. It could be the production. It could be whatever that seem to take you out. You got to realize there's always an enemy in the mix.
Wow.
So don't get blind thinking that you just gonna go forward. Me and my friends gonna do this. Oh, we blowing. Y'all have a great show. And by the way, I applaud y'all because I love listening to it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
But you also have to realize whenever people start loving things and start listening to things, that's when your problems come in. Let's just make an example. Like you said, the president. The president was 44. President Barack Obama. Barack Obama said everything in order to where people can have everything. Now let's move forward from the present. Let's move forward from the past with Barack Obama, and let's move forward from the past to the present. Now look at the present. We have 45. I don't say his name because I don't call him that. He ain't on the level of that. But we have 45 who want to now go back and destroy what happened in the past. That's the same layout you're going to get in life when people see you trying to move forward. They're not going to be able to attack you in the present. They're going to go back and try to attack you from the past. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Definitely get that.
That's how they're going to attack you. They're going to attack you from the past. They're not going to attack you from the present. Because you know what? They don't know what your president have laid out for you. But they see now that it's going to be something good. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if people start hating on y'all because y'all actually doing one hellified of a job.
Thank you.
I like it myself because it let me express myself.
Yes.
As I used to try to always tell my big head friend,
Oh,
You talking about D?
you know,
I'm sorry, my circle is small. This phone call is being disconnected at this time. Closing, circles closing, circles closing.
no, but me and D used to have some good conversations, and she know I love her. That's my buddy, and I'm just gonna speak the truth.
Yes,
Yeah.
all the time.
The truth is
All the
that
time.
you ain't gonna get nowhere without falling back first. Because then once in a while you gonna fall on your ass.
Yeah.
But you gotta have people like you to, pick you back up. But see, the problem
You're
is
gonna have people like me that's gonna pick you back up, and it might hurt. And those people that come in your life gonna be the people that's gonna be the ones that guide you. They ain't gonna be the one who actually gonna go over with you.
right.
They're just gonna be the ones that's gonna guide you to where you need to go. See, everybody that come there ain't gonna be the one that's gonna push you. You're gonna have some that's just gonna be there only for that moment. Then you're gonna have others that's gonna be there to take off from where they left. See, you're gonna have them come in. You're gonna have them spurts. They're gonna come in. But then you're gonna realize that there's something because that limb that just got on connected to your tree is also spreading berries now. So in other words, they not only helping you, but from them helping you, now they feeding you. From them feeding you, now they nursing you. Now y'all getting to the point where you can move forward. And this here don't mean that you left them behind. It just means like when daddy or mama teach you how to ride a bike and you get it and then they let go, but they sit there and they run beside you, behind you just in case you fall, they there to pick you up and tell you, try it again. But beware of those who watch you fall and laugh at you and say, just give it up. So what y'all doing now is y'all riding y'all bike. Y'all moving forward. Mom or dad is right there who held the seat while you got that pattern going real good, and then they let go. But have you ever noticed they didn't reach out and grab you, they just ran beside you.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's the way it's going. And I really love it, and it's really moving forward. And when D texted me and said the show was on, hell, I rushed home like Empire or Power was coming on.
Yes.
Yes. That's good. That's good. That's good.
Well, y'all get back to y'all show because you know I'm working out.
We'll continue to work out. Thank you for
Thank
tuning in. Thank you for giving us that word.
Yes.
I'm still tuned in while I do this bit first.
Okay. And that's Mr. Willie. That's, if you see him on there, hit him up, y'all. But thanks for calling in. And again, one thing you have to know is that one thing about him is just, even when he said you have to fall down, he's one of those friends that when he picks you back up and dusts you off, you're going to be mad again. You're mad that you fell, and you're going to be mad that he told you, well, I told you to turn left. I told you not to go down that street. I told but you need people like that in your life who can always remind you that, again, you haven't made it just yet. You haven't arrived. So don't think you've gotten there, and don't think you've gotten there by yourself. And you need people there around you who will tell you the truth and support you through that truth, because, again, that's one of the things that we talked about. But, okay, Willie, we'll talk to you later.
Thank you,
All right, I want to be on every show.
Thank you,
All right.
All right, Will.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Great job. Bye, ladies.
But you really have to recognize it. Again, it's the true responsibility of things that happen in my life. I may not like them. If I could choose a different life, we always said if I chose something different, what would it look like? And the problem with that is that you wouldn't be authentically you. We've all been created to go through different things. Some people times we look at stuff and say, I'm mad about this because I don't have it, and I look at somebody else's life and it looks 10 times worse than what you've experienced. But the beauty behind it is that everything that happened to you was created for you. You were only given what you could bear, and that's why I think the beauty behind where God trusts us so much, that He trusts us with the obstacles that we go through. And so I look at the things that have happened between breast cancer and deaths. I look at it as He trusted me with those experiences to have the testimony of how great and how good and how awesome and how merciful He is. And so I look at that as saying, you know what? Well, why not me?
Right.
Sometimes you just got to change your perspective. If you change your perspective, you would change your life, because our realities are based off of our perceptions.
That's it.
And so many of our perceptions can be jaded for whatever reason, or things that we choose to block. And so we create new perceptions from that, and it becomes a new reality. But, it's really recognizing, is this person healthy for me to be around? Is there a mutual benefit in the long run? Sometimes what can I get out of it? But no, is there a mutual benefit? Can I willingly give to this person the same way they're giving to me? And in the end, do they make me a better person?
And sometimes it's not even what can I get out of it. It's actually, what are they trying to bring out of me? Because sometimes people will be put in your life just for the sole purpose of actually sowing something that's in you that you've either suppressed or you didn't even want to come forward. So even in your process, when you make the decision to actually move forward and not go backwards, it's kind of like what Willie said, you got to be ready for it. You don't know what avenue it's going to take. But sometimes that avenue is that showing you the ugly you. I used to have this saying, and I can't remember who told me this, but generally the things that you don't like about somebody is something that's inside of you. Things that you don't like about somebody generally is something that resides inside of you.
Yeah, that's a lot of, how men say it's women issues.
Right.
Y'all get dressed for other women. Y'all don't get dressed for us. It's
right.
Yeah. And so then we see somebody, we're like, ooh, why she doing that? Or why they got that going on?
There it is, right there.
It's your insecurities. You're speaking your insecurities. You're speaking those things that you feel a certain way about. So therefore, everyone has to feel a certain way about. But that's really good. That's our topic. Are we at the top of the hour?
8:07.
At the top of the hour.
And while we're waiting, y'all, next week, October 27th at 5:30, we will be actually interviewing the cast of Creeps and Silly Women. I know. It's Tony Gant and Darren Henson.
Ooh, he can dance and he can. Ooh,
yes, he's the one who did. What was that little workout video?
He did the workout video.
Yeah.
don't bring it back. He was on Soul Food. He was on
Yeah,
I know, and he did a lot of the the just lost my thought.
Tyler Perry.
The Tyler Perry.
Tyler Perry Place, right.
Him and
Well, be sure to tune in. The writer and director is local, out of Fort Worth, Texas, and it actually came from her own truth, and the characters have just been changed. So please tune in on Thursday, October 27th at 5:30 as we interview them. It is truly a 5. Okay, so I just got a hand that had 5 fingers, y'all. So it's at 5 instead of 5:30. But please be sure to tune in. It is truly a privilege and an honor for my Sisters Keepers to be able to interview such a dynamic cast. The play is actually on Saturday, October 28th. And we'll give more information about that later on throughout the show. But please be sure to tune in. I think it's time for us to pay some more bills. So we will be back. For those who are on Facebook, do not go away. Please share it, text it, tweet it, and also post it on Instagram. As when we come back, we will talk about domestic violence. And that is our reason for wearing purple today. So stay tuned. Don't go away, and we'll be back shortly.
We back.
We are back. Hey,
How y'all doing?
How y'all doing? Welcome back to my Sister's Keeper radio show on PowerPlayRadioNetwork.com, and we're streaming on Facebook Live as well. As we mentioned, we are wearing purple today in support of October being Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So we're going to dive into that and provide you guys with a little bit of statistics.
There is a toll-free number that is the National Domestic Violence Hotline. That number is 1-800-799-SAFE. Again, that number is 1-800-799-SAFE. So if you are in a situation or know someone who is in a situation, there is help available. October, as stated, is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So we just want to raise awareness this month, and we want to take a stand against domestic violence and help end it. So be a voice and show your support. Wear your purple. Send strong messages that domestic violence is never okay and it will not be tolerated in our communities. If we stick together and if we find resources and share the resources, we could possibly help those who are in those situations. And just know that it's not always visible, but it still hurts the same. It can be some not simple as, but being isolated from family and friends, intimidation, threats, emotional abuse, blaming, placing blame on someone else for your shortcomings or faults, denying, minimizing. It can come in those forms. It can be physical, it can be emotional, mental, slamming stuff, kicking, hitting, threatening, choking, slapping, any of those type of things, bullying, and it starts at young ages these days. We have a lot of teenagers that go through domestic violence, and it's even growing in incidents in today's world, but it didn't just start today, but it is increasing in today's world. So, and if you went through it, like, don't be ashamed of it, and prayerfully you went through it and got out of it. But if you're in it, know that there is help. Know that you will have support as soon as you make up your mind that enough is enough. And hopefully, you'll be able to do that prior to something life-threatening happening.
And so there's another organization online. For those of you on Facebook right now, you can go to We Are Survivors. We Are Survivors is a Facebook group that was created by our sister show here at Power Play Radio Network. She comes on Fridays from 7 to 9 on 1st and 3rd of every month. But it's We Are Survivors with Wanda McKinley and co-host. She is the founder of We Are Survivors International. It is a international foundation. If you want to check out their website, it's wearesurvivorsfoundation.org. That's again, wearesurvivorsfoundation.org. And the group is just created to create awareness and to provide support for people who need someone else to talk to or to connect with other stories. But she was a domestic violence survivor for over since she was 17. So I'm pretty sure it's almost over 25 years of her life where she's been in those type of relationships. But I know a lot of it started when she was as a child as well, and we're going to bring her on our next show because she has a story, a testimony. And remember, we told you about moving forward was to understand that when God is giving you trials that you go through, is because He wants you to be transparent for other people who are going through the same thing. So we're going to reach out to her. Well, she will be here at our next show, but it is We Are Survivors on Facebook and wearesurvivorsfoundation.org, or you can catch her TV radio show here at Power Play Radio Network on Fridays from 7 to 9. And you should see her tag come up 1st and 3rd Fridays of every month. And so as we talk about domestic violence, those are some of the things that statistically, there are things that, sometimes we need to know as parents, we need to know as what do I need to do for our children, because being in education, we have a lot of females who are experiencing some of these things, and they're not even aware that it's violence, that it's abuse. And so 1 in 10 teens report having experienced dating violence or being hit or physically hurt. And this comes from the CDC.gov, so you can look that up, fact check it. But this is CDC as of 2015 data. 22.4% of women and 15% of men first experienced some form of partner violence between 11 and 17 years of age. And across studies, 15 to 40% of the youth report perpetrating some form of violence towards a dating partner, whether it was verbal, emotional violence, physical violence, sexual violence. And again, for parents who have those teens who are dating, Danita just spoke to some of the signs that you can look at. They still apply to adults and to children. But one of the things that, I guess when we're talking about teen violence, the need to be loved is one of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The needs to be, the self-wanted, to be wanted and to be loved. And on the lower level scale is something that we have to have in order to feel that we're part of life. And so sometimes we attract the wrong type of relationships, and sometimes those wrong type of relationships come from things that we've seen our parents do or people around us do. So as parents, we always want our children to have better than us. And so make sure you're having those conversations of what does it look like. And, hopefully we're not teaching our girls to just want a man or just to have a man, even though we know statistically we have more, women outnumber men. And so there are a lot of things that are happening to where women are minimizing their self-worth, belittling who they are in order to keep men around them that are that put them in unhealthy or toxic relationships. So those are the things that we will talk about in the upcoming month of November, those toxic relationships, identifying those and what to do and how to get out of those. But we have 15 tips for letting go of relationships that are not healthy. The first one is recognize the problem. Is this relationship serving my highest good? Is the relationship detrimental to my self-esteem? The number 2 is allow yourself to feel. Letting go is usually not easy, but you have to honor the feelings of grief and trust the process of going through the process. Number 3, discover the lesson. Many people who move on from a toxic relationship feel guilt or shame as they perceive the time they spend in a relationship as a waste. So in life, lessons may be repeated until they're learned. So look for the lesson up front and don't go back in to feel like you have to reconnect to that emotion. Create the separation. That's hard. Sometimes you just have to go to not spending as much time and trying to remove yourself. And number 5 is let go of the mementos. We always want to keep something from the relationship. And a memento could also be songs, y'all. Listen, that song we were talking about when the song came on. I can remember where I was. Jesus, this is right.
You want to listen to it and cry.
You want to cry and you want to go through, keeping letters and photos. And that's, that's the sad thing. I think a lot of things in our phones, ladies, clean out your phones, men, clean out your phones, delete. If the relationship is over, there's no reason to keep it, tear it up, let it go. It's not a memory. It's a bad memory. It's a memory that keeps you stagnant of where you were. Let it go. Delete it. Take off your love goggles.
Yes.
Take off your love goggles. It makes it difficult to see someone for who they really are. Have you ever noticed when you get past a relationship and you see your ex later on and you look at them and say, what was I thinking? Yeah. Take off the love goggles. That's number 6. Number 7.
That was number 6?
That was number 6.
Get out.
Take off the love goggles. Number 7, compose a letter to your ex. We talked about this earlier. Journaling, writing it down. And then you can just bottle up everything you wanted to say. 8, focus on empowering yourself. We talked about this. Try your best to shift focus off the relationship and back to yourself. Find a way to use your new energy, whether you find a hobby or finding a way to focus on cultivating self-love and respect for yourself. Remind yourself that you are worthy of love and that you deserve a healthy relationship. Number 9, rewrite your story. We often tend to place the weight of our identities into our self-professed life stories. Talked about that earlier. We believe we are what we continually tell ourselves. So examine your story and rewrite it in a more empowering way to start making positive changes in your life. Number 10, practice forgiveness. Daphne told us earlier. You have to release the feelings of regret. You have to know that you are worthy. Stop any resentment. Let that go. Number 11, live in the present moment. What was this earlier? I mean, good Lord.
Baby, that was
live in the present moment. We talked about this. You choose the present rather than the past because the present is the only thing that you have control of at that moment. Number 12, accept what is.
Wow.
We must be able to accept things as they are if we want to move forward. Many people remain in relationships that are unhealthy, hoping they can somehow change their partner. It is important to remember you cannot change anyone, especially if they have no willingness to change themselves. So if they want to apologize and they want you to stop talking, tell them to figure out, change yourself, focus on yourself. If the relationship isn't working for you, then you have the choice to leave and move on. But if you're going to stay, then compromise. Find out what the other person's need is and stop thinking about yourself. Even though you moved on, they haven't. So your job in that relationship, remember, is to cater to the other person and not figure out what you can get out of it yourself. Okay. 13, contribute to a cause you care about. So find something that you feel passionate about. A lot of times when people go into relationships, they go to church more and more. They may find an organization they can join, something that you can be a part of. Why? Because it takes your mind off of feeling like you don't have any value at this moment. So find something to get involved with. Number 14, practice self-care. The grief can be overwhelming, and you may start to neglect your own needs. Go get your massage. Some ladies cut their hair off. Hey, well, if you
don't make their needs your needs.
Don't make their needs your needs. Cut your hair off. Reinvent yourself. Rewrite your story. But you have to remind yourself. You have to speak positive words moving forward that you are worthy.
Yes.
And so choose self-care and choose self-compassion. Number 15, embrace the impermanence of life. Oh,
Really?
forever is a misleading term. So when I was trying to figure out my word, forever is a misleading term. The only constant that exists in life is change.
Yes.
So when it comes time for something to end, rather than clinging to what no longer is, realize impermanence is the nature of life and try to embrace it. Appreciate the good memories you had, cherish those memories, and let them go in exchange for new experiences. And last but not least, it's a number 15, but just know when to ask for help. We talked about seeking counsel. We talked about finding a therapist. We talked about finding a support group. And Facebook is full of support groups. I mean, you have support groups in church. You have therapists. You have so many nonprofits who have designed themselves around their life calls, around their trials and tribulations. And so they feel compelled to create other groups so that other people can feel supported in the same process or the same journeys that they're having. So even if you feel like there is no hope after severing an important tie in your life, remember, you can heal. You deserve a healthy relationship that meets your needs and complements you and your happiness. You deserve happiness. Remember that. So that was our top 15. To our survivors of domestic violence, again, you are supported. You are supported. So that's what My Sister Keeper is about. And know that you always have a place that you can reach out to as well.
And one of the things, talk about domestic violence. If you have someone or you know someone and you assume or you even speculate that they're in a situation of domestic violence, don't be afraid to ask them. Because that could be the one avenue to save their life. Because so many times we want to, dress up, clean up, walk out the front door like everything's all right, and yet still behind closed doors, so many things are going on. Because domestic violence doesn't just stop from the physical aspect; it even comes from the bullying aspects. It comes from the verbal aspects, and just ask. And I mean, you may lose them for that moment, but I'd rather lose them for that moment than lose them for a lifetime.
Right.
And so just, be willing to ask, be bold. You bold enough to say what I haven't done. You bold enough to tell me what I'm not doing right. Be bold enough to ask me, am I getting my butt beat? You know, be bold enough to ask me, am I getting cussed out and knocked upside my head? And more importantly, do not be afraid to ask that of kids, because you know you're going to automatically get the defense.
Right.
Right.
And I mean, it's happening so much because kids we have a generation now that wants to fit in, and they don't know what they want to fit in. They just want to fit in. So they're willing to do anything. They're willing to accept anything. They're willing to, you know, let any kind of words that feels good, that actually soothes the pain that they're actually experiencing, they take it and they hold on to it, and it becomes their world. And you know, it's, you know, back in the day, that's how they went out to the streets. Well, now the streets are so much more. It's, you know, bring me your lunch money. You know, get the keys and take your mama's car. You know, I mean, there's no shape, form, or fashion you can tell me to take my mama's car, because I know I'd get the beat off of me. Brakes off of me. You know, I wasn't about to say brakes, but but you know, it just comes to a point to where our generation, the peer pressure is real. The domestic violence is the domestic. I mean, even when it comes down to the sexual abuse, you know, we're very transparent on here, even in south of the Trinity. And I can't speak of north of the Trinity because I live south of the Trinity. But you have kids snatching other kids in the bathroom, raping them. Yeah. You know, you just gonna take my goods? I might have wanted to give them to you if you just ask, but I mean, you're just taking them. You're violating my space, and that child walks out of that bathroom with nothing to say, and fear that I'm either going to be called a liar, or it's going to be speculation, or it's going to be, well, you shouldn't have been in there. You know, we always find a reason to to blame the child in that situation. So it becomes a pattern. So when they become older and it happens, well, nobody's going to listen to me anyway.
Wow.
So, you know, I mean, really it starts with our younger generations. You know, 1 out of 15 are exposed to that violence every year. Now, the probably numbers have increased, but you know, we have to be on alert, and we have to stop being afraid to say something. So,
like you mentioned, DeAndrea, about you know, the lack of love being felt, and you know, like she said, domestic violence is not just physical. You know, a lot of time for youth, the emotional and the mental control is very binding for them at that age, because they may be lacking that love in other areas at home, or that control may feel like love to them, and they don't know. They get confused. So my boyfriend saying, I want you here, and I don't want you to talk to Keisha, and I don't want you, I'm going to separate you from your family, and all you can see is me and talk to me, and I'm going to call you all day and all night and all. That feels like love to them,
because somebody's showing them attention.
That's attention.
Attention.
But it's abuse. It's a form of mental abuse, emotional abuse.
Yes, that's crazy.
I think that's why a lot of teens, you know, get caught up in that.
You can go with adults on that.
Yeah, adults. Yeah.
you know, because you finally find a man who shows you attention,
right?
And you say, "Oh, but he called and asked me where I was."
He called me every 20 minutes. Oh,
right. You know, so, but that's because that was a need of yours. Yeah, that's not
like
me.
You cannot,
because that was a need of yours.
Right.
You know, so, and then you read
you caught up. Oh
right.
my God.
And you read books that talks about fulfilling your space or fulfilling your love language. And it's like, but you haven't even identified what your love language is. But, you know, he calls me, you know, he's always here. He's always, you know, he cares about me because he wants me to let him know everywhere I go. No, boo, that's not
control.
That's
what we said. That is control.
Yeah, and you know, and it's not your fault. You know, I talk to a lot of the girls. You know, they always say that, you know, they thought it was their fault. They shouldn't have said this. I shouldn't have said that. You know, there's no reason not to have self-control. And so, again, in any situation, I know, like I said, reality TV makes it really bad now. So because they think that every time you look up, you know, one of the things I heard, Jocelyn Hernandez was having her interview on 97.9 this morning. They were saying, well, why did you leave the show? And she said, because it's bad publicity. She said, now all they're doing is fighting. She said, if you notice, I say a lot with my mouth, but I haven't put my hands on anyone in the past 3 seasons because again, now they want you to fight. She's like, it looks staged, it looks set up. But our girls will come to school and they think that that's the way they're supposed to pop off. And I'm saying that because I've seen it for myself where they may have an altercation where they may be having exchange of words, but when people come in and they grab them or they hold them or, you know, say, oh, well, it's okay, they get extremely loud. Like, it got worse. And it was like, well, wait a minute, you wasn't doing that before. Now, oh, okay, this is TV. So in TV, if you notice when they're pulling them back, they get extra. They start throwing the bottles and you're throwing cups over people's heads. But you're doing that when people are standing there stopping you. Like, it doesn't make sense. And that's what our children are doing. They're seeing that. And so, you know, now I'm going to flip it real quick because we got to be my sister's keeper. We have women friends who are in abusive relationships and we know it and they keep going back. And so the problem with it is that, you know, the first 2 times you say, oh, he hit me, you gonna ride out. We posse up, we gonna go get him, and then she goes back. And so then she calls you again, and then, you know, now when she calls you, because she knows she's called so much, I just want us to be real honest about this. Never allow that time where you're tired of it to be the last time you see them. Because I've had friends that, you know, never allow the time that you're tired of be the last time you see them, because in that moment of what they think is good for them, remember, we don't know where people are and where they are in their process.
Right.
But one thing we do know is that when you are sick and tired of something, you move on. You remove yourself. But sometimes a lot of people didn't get that choice to move on because, again, at that moment, their hearts were speaking louder than what their minds were allowing them to do. So understand that they're calling you and they're saying, hey, this situation is happening again. You know, you have those friends who call you and say, can I just come sleep on your couch? Can I come sleep in your room? Understand, you may feel a certain way about it because you don't, and again, some people have children, they want to protect their children. You know, again, I don't want that drama in my circle. But you got to have a real heart-to-heart with your friend, because see, what you're not having is, you're not saying, well, don't call me again if you're going to go back with him because this is abusive. I really haven't heard a lot of people have that real conversation. And I'm just thinking, did I even have that conversation with the person that I knew who was going back and forth with? I never said, don't call me anymore if you're going to stay with him, because again, you're putting me in danger on top of you being in danger. And I'm not saying have that, and I'm not even saying maybe have that conversation with him, but I'm saying have the conversation of saying, look, I love you enough to accept this phone call even though I know what's happening on the other side. I love you enough to even go through. And so when you say enough is enough, then put them in situations. So take them with you to a, you know what I'm saying? Like, I will take you to the next meeting that we have, and she may be mad sitting there talking about, what you bring me to this for? We gonna sit right here. We gonna get something. So until we get something, we gonna keep coming. We gonna keep coming. So maybe it's like I said, my sister keeper is saying, I don't want to be involved. But the moment you're not involved, you standing over a casket crying, saying, oh, I should have done more. Well, I'm gonna do more. So if it does happen and you make that choice for your life, and if that's how your life was purposed to end, I can stand there and say, you know what? She loved with her full heart. She loved this man with all her heart. It was unfortunate that she loved him so much that she died for him. She didn't break away. But I was there every moment. I was there when I pulled her to the meetings. I was there when I had my friend call her to say there's a better way. So please, let's stop the talking behind our friend's back. Stop saying I'm done with it because I'm scared I don't want to be involved with it. Go up to your friend. Let them know I'm with you. I'm bringing you through this. This is there. And when they decide to cut you off, that's what they've decided to do. But don't let it be because you got frustrated or you say, oh, they're stupid for doing that. That couldn't be me. You're judging. And the moment you judge, you put yourself in the same situation with your next or with something else that's coming around the corner. So just be mindful of that. That's my soapbox on it. Good.
Don't press mute.
Producer question.
Yes.
Sister Keeper supposed to get the second opinion more than the first opinion?
Was that a second opinion?
No, like you try to go be the hero and try to help her, but ain't you the one that's supposed to give her the help? Because you kept saying love. The love is your love and her love. What she loved that man, they don't resonate together.
But I can only help you as much as you allow me to help you.
No, well, I just think that sometimes that y'all got the big closest bond as women. Sometimes they got the farthest bond from women. And so only thing you can do is just go get that professional help to get them help.
But strangely,
because I hear your passion, and sometimes your passion is overwhelming, and they don't want you to be a part of that passion. So by you, the more you involved, the more they go back. They need to go back. So only thing I feel that when y'all do, because y'all so close, is that let me go find professional help, like a second opinion.
All right,
And
that's what I said. Take her to the place that people that can help. Or
Okay,
there.
right.
We gonna sit in there together.
Right.
Yeah.
I see so many times that you do it, that they get threats. Well, you ain't my girl no more. You ain't my sorority sister no more. I'm through with you. No, and that just get it draws them to them.
No, yeah.
Because that person know what question to ask more than anybody.
But you don't want to be intrusive. Again, you're right. That's just like telling a kid no, they can't have candy, and they just go back and sneak and get the candy because you tell them no. So I think just being more, just refrain from being intrusive about it.
Anika is a young lady that I heard speak in Vernon, Texas a few years back. Her testimony is phenomenal. But she shares on Facebook, and I'll read it, and if we want to call her, we can. But she says, my 16-month-old died due to domestic violence 10 years ago. His 12th birthday was yesterday. I had no idea my cousin was dealing with a violent man at home. So it's very important to reach out for help so that not only you are affected, but so innocent lives are not taken as well. My 19-year-old niece was in an abusive relationship as well. But she lost her life a couple of years due to her silence. At first, he tried to make it look like a suicide, but the detectives got smart, and though it was hard listening to all of the evidence, seeing all of the pictures and all of the blood, he was recently given 25 years, leaving behind a beautiful 4-year-old. Though I never received justice for my baby boy, I'm really happy that we received some type of justice and closure for my niece. R.I.P. Jawan, March 2nd, 2007, and R.I.P. Kiki, March 7th, 2015. No more domestic violence. This was right on time. Thanks. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Wonderful, Nika. Wonderful.
And
thank you for sharing.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing.
And you don't have to deal with it back to back. And those are kids.
Yeah.
It's and that's what we're talking about is kids. One was silent and one just didn't know because as a kid you think that that's a form. It begins to say, okay, this is a form of love,
Right.
and it's really not. So
again, seek help, y'all. Speak out if you hear it. Again, attach yourself and find the help for them or be the support for them. But again, that's right. It's no more domestic violence, and we're going to take a brief break, and we'll be back with you. With My Sister's Keeper on PowerPlayRadioNetwork.com.
Welcome back to My Sister's Keeper on PowerPlayRadioNetwork.com and also streaming live on Facebook. We just finished a segment about domestic violence, and also at the top of the show we talked about moving forward and not backward. So now we're on the portion of the show where we're going to go into the To My Sister quotes. I can read the first one. So we have a quote here. I have realized that the best step to take when trying to move forward in life is to accept that sometimes we have to let go of the life we expected to have and to start living the life that we are given. And the next one says, today I close the door to the past, open the door to the future. Take a deep breath, step on through, and start a new chapter in my life. And the third quote says, don't stumble over something behind you. So, my sisters, do any of these quotes resonate within you? How do you feel about these quotes?
The first one is realizing that the best step to take when trying to move forward in life is to accept that sometimes we have to let go of the life we expected to have and to start living the life we are given. This is very, very true for me. Getting in a relationship at 22 years old and knowing that my whole adult life until I was 42 years old was very, very challenging to start thinking about me as an individual versus a family woman versus a wife. Always, a mother when you have children, but start living the life that I'm given now based on what has happened, beyond my control or whatever the case may be, or, due to choices that were made. It's been very enlightening over the last 3 years. I'm trying to figure out who I am and what I want to do at this point in life, and learning what I want to do for me. It's been a very maturing and growing process because of being a wife and a mother and in a family and in a marriage for most of my adult life up until this point. It's two very different situations, so I have to learn now through trial and error what I like and how I like to go about it. So it's challenging. And that quote is very, very relevant to that kind of life, because there's a lot of us that fall into that category that give 20 years of our life growing up as an adult and then being a mature adult and having to do and be very different than what you thought it would be, because you thought it would be a forever thing. You thought it would be something that would take you on through life, but it's not that case. So
that one spoke to me about the same way as well. I was married young, about 22, I believe. So same thing, and it just kind of, you grew. I mean, you're 22, you want to say you're grown, but to be married and to take on a family and a mother in that wife role is a big step. And then to take it on, I know for me, I kind of grew into this still being within a relationship because of the way the relationship was. So I started to have this growth before I actually stepped outside of the relationship. So now, being divorced, the transition has been easier because I had to separate myself, and then in comes that emotional control, that mental, abuse type of situation where you have to find something in those points that you were reading. You have to find something to separate yourself. and to start finding you those, go out and find something you like to do and all those things. Well, some people in those type of situations, I could kind of identify when you read those points, they're scared to go their direction because they know it's going to take them out of it. And I know that's where I found myself at one point. Well, if I start getting back to doing me, this is going to be no longer, because I know this is not me and this is not where I was designed to stay. So as soon as I started back, and I never stopped being involved in church, but I really got back into being active in church, active, in my sorority and other organizations. When I got in, just, I always had my daughter, so I'm active with her. So outside of that mother life, knowing me, the adult me, and what I want out of life, then it was easy for me to transition and say, okay, this is not where I want to be. Let's move forward, not backward. So.
I think for me, the one that I'll talk about today is, all three apply, but don't stumble over something behind you. And the reason I chose that one is because I'm in a transitional point in my life to where I'm making sure that as I step out of my comfort zone, personally, professionally, even with the entrepreneur mindset of taking it to the next level, that I don't allow myself to fall back on fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of taking that next step of the challenge, fear of what somebody's going to say. When am I going to get that statement of, well, do you really need to do that now? Is this a time for you to do that? Everything's good right now. Everything's okay. So why do you want to, if it's not broken, don't mess with it. So I think for me, it's more of don't stumble over something that's behind me, and it's fear. And that's all. It sounds easy, sounds simple, but fear is something that keeps a lot of us from going to the next level. Stepping out of your comfort zone, stepping into a place to where you know that you can do it. And it's not the fact that you can't do it, it's the fact of what is it going to impact? What is it going to have an effect on? Is it going to hurt my finances? Is it going to hurt, am I going to have to stay up longer? Am I going to have to alter? Those are things that actually, we think about that we'll find it a reason to say, okay, no, I'm not going to do it. I'll give you a prime example. Me, I've looked at myself and I am not pleased with my weight, period. Not because I'm not healthy, does it affect me on the inside? No, but when I look, I'm not happy. And so, but why, but how did I get to this point? It's kind of like you said, I got to this point because I kept finding 1,000,001 reasons not to go to the gym. Fear, fear of that. You said, well, how do you have fear about going to the gym? Well, what am I going to wear? And I'm in here and I'm looking at all these women who are cut from A to Z, have these banging bodies, and it's like, okay, and I'm here, and the fear of doing it alone, despite if anyone goes with me, does not go with me. And so those are fears so that's what I'm making sure that as I'm going forward and I keep the positivity that I have, that I don't allow fear to creep up and then I end up tripping over it. And then I'm stopped and I go back only to have to repeat it again.
That's good. I think for me, I was given that, we did an acronym of FEAR. And once you conquer your fear, you can face everything and rise, FEAR, face everything and rise, or you can forget everything and run. And so, when it's time, we talked about moving forward. I think for me, mine was today I close the door to the past, open the door to the future, take a deep breath, step on through, and start a new chapter in my life. I did, when you get to this point, it's because you get tired. You get tired of trying to make it work. You get tired, it's time to reevaluate. You get tired of, I think I stopped growing at some point, and I knew that there was, like how you said about your weight. I looked at myself and said, well, I felt like I had become stagnant at some point. I felt isolated. I was always sacrificing and compromising that, you know, I'll do it later, I'm sure we can, you know, this is okay for me right now. I stopped trying to find myself, you know, I became that hermit. I started, you know, just close that door. I felt misunderstood all the time. And I wasn't trying to make people understand. I neglected people who cared about me. You know, that's one of the biggest things of, you know, just looking at it. It's time just to let go and to just move forward, because the moment you start feeling like this, again, what you just said, the fear steps in, fear comes in, fear goes away. You know, just looking at repeating the same things over and over, making the same mistakes, holding on to memories like the broken record. Oh, this is what happened, and you know, just thinking about things because I just wanted to cry. Like I got to the point where I was emotionless. You know, there was just nothing. I wasn't crying. I think I was probably angry or frustrated all the time. But the moment that I realized I could no longer cry about a situation, that's when I knew I was truly broken. Because if you don't know it, when you drop the tears it's part of the purging process. And you know, some people are like, you're just crying all the time. You know what? Sometimes you just have to cry. Sometimes you have to get it out. Sometimes you have to go through that process, and then you're able to get back up and rethink. So the difference between a rough day is a good night's sleep. You know, if you had the worst day of your life, go to sleep. I'm gonna say I said it before, but you'll be amazed. Really, if you can't fix something right now, go to sleep. When you wake up, you'll be amazed that the problem may still be there, but the way your perspective of how you look at it. So every day you can go to sleep, and you're given time to wake back up, start the new chapter of your life. So for me, that's my moving on.
Wow. So we have 5 minutes left of the show. God, time flies by.
It did. It went by really.
So for those who are joining in for the first time, Hot on the Spot is we each take a question out of the box and we answer the question.
You post them, don't you?
And-
Post them, don't you?
Yes.
Okay.
And then after that, then the final question, we all will answer it.
Spooning first.
We going to get it done. What is this? If you are a natural element, would you rather be fire or water? I would say my personality is fiery. And I think people that know me very well would agree to that. And I would just like to, why? Just because I feel like I'm straightforward. I feel like I am an adventurer. I will try things, and I just have a love for life. So I'm going to enjoy life. I'm going to have fun, and I'm going to be very passionate about the things that I do. Regardless of what it is, whatever I'm involved in, it will get my full attention, and I will be very passionate and on fire about it. And a little side note is my daughter, I was trying to choose a new hair color, and my daughter chose red about a year ago. And so we got the red, and I've been red ever since because I like it, because it's red hot. And she threatened to dye my hair in my sleep because she thought I was way over the top after I got my red hair. But it was her who chose the red.
Willie said he'd be air.
That wasn't one of the choices.
What? I don't think this is appropriate.
It was fire. Oh
no, it's yours.
It's yours. What is that?
What is say?
Make up some stuff now.
Like I did last.
When was the last time you had a dream? What was it about? Oh my gosh. I think. You know, we usually remember nightmares more so than dreams.
Unless you have a baby.
No babies. No babies. Okay, so I think the last time I had a dream, I think last time I had a dream, mine was more so, I think it was a deja vu dream. You said, what was it about? I can't listen. Some stuff is just left better off the air. I don't know.
Y'all didn't let me get away with it.
I had a dream where I was with what's his name, Idris Elba, and well, because the commercial that came on, I just remember because the commercial came on about him saving a woman on the mountain. They were
yeah,
up.
we'll see that. Yeah,
What was that? No.
it just came out. Yeah.
The movie? It was a movie. Oh. So I just remember being on the mountain, and I got stuck on the mountain with the snow.
The mountain between us.
And he saved
Y'all
me.
gonna make me?
I was saved.
The mountain between us.
The mountain between us. The mountain between us.
He
Leave it
threw
at
a
that.
lifeline over and hooked it.
What?
You gonna go?
Oh Lord.
Okay, I'll go. All right.
Look, he said, "Let me tell you, but not on the air."
Yeah.
Like what? Oh, I got dreams.
Did you get it?
What is the hardest choice you have ever had to make? And what was the outcome? Hardest choice I ever had to make.
Do I want ketchup or
Mustard.
Damn, something.
I want both. I'm just gonna.
You gotta add some ranch.
Okay, to be perfectly honest, the hardest choice that I ever had to make was the choice to distance myself and go my own way and be my own woman. And I wouldn't say it was the hardest choice, but it was a hard move to make to start a new you and to know yourself or learn yourself again outside of what you've known for 13 or 14 years. So in doing that and having a daughter as well and trying to keep things a positive situation for her and all of that comes along with it, that was hard move for me. But I am here and I am blonde.
Yes, look at
And I have survived and
Yes.
everything is good.
Awesome. Pick you a question.
If you could, actually, this is a good.
Okay.
I'm good this week. If you could go back and change your career path, what would you be doing now? If I could go back and change my career path, there are two things that I would be doing. One is graphic designs, which is what I love to do, and the second would be I would actually be tap dancing in the performing arts. You know what, Mr. Willis?
So you think you can dance?
Looking back,
Or tap dancing. Those are two very
I
different things.
tapped danced for 26 years, believe it or not. So
Yeah, tap dancing graphic design.
I'll tap on your beat. I'll tap your art.
While you put it on your website.
Really?
Or you can record yourself, and so that'd be like your signature when you do the graphic designs. You know, everybody else have GoDaddy.
Oh, cool.
You should be like tap dancing in the corner. Just tap, tap, tap.
So when I return,
Let it be designs. Tap, 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 tap.
tap your way to me. No. But no, that's really. Do y'all realize that they always pick on me?
Tap dancing.
Bless
And that is.
But no, I mean those
That's the group.
It's the group.
What we have here.
Well, you always got to go on the route.
Willie said he can tap dance too. Now what you gonna tell him? Thank you, Willie. Somebody in my corner.
What takes you out of your comfort zone?
Ooh. For me, it's public speaking, believe it or not. And I do a whole lot of it, but I'm just never, that's not my favorite thing to do. Anything else, I'm good.
I don't know. You know why? Because I think I've learned that once you come here, like, and everything is fear until you do it. Like, you're going to be scared of everything. And so, like I said, when I went to Cabo, I went to Cabo, I did parasailing. And I went parasailing. I did jet skis. And I also got on the ATV in the terrains. And we went up into the mountains and on the beach until it flipped over on me.
Her hair's blonde, y'all.
So
it's blonde.
It's blonde. So when it flipped over on me, my adrenaline came in. Yes, I could have died, but I'm still here, so I still have a purpose. So that's another check off my bucket list of everything I did. But in the past, I would have never done those things. I would have just wouldn't have done it because, like, why? What purpose? Scared of it, don't want to do it. So I think really for comfort zone purposes, I think I find my way of going to do it just because I can say that I've done it. And everything that where I can't do it, I'm putting myself in a box. And so I never want to put myself in a box again and saying what I can't do. I'm going to do everything that's presented for me. Now, I still may not jump out of the plane, maybe not be there yet, so that may be the only thing out of the comfort zone.
She gonna do it.
Willie says.
You know what? Let's read Natanya's before we read Willie's. So Natanya went back and she said, what was the hardest choice she ever had to make? And she said to give up and give in to the things that people were saying and blocking or hindering her from, versus being sustained, and the promise is in the belief that God put inside of her to keep going and dismiss naysayers and bad virus. I think that's the hardest choice. Often when you're quiet and reserved, people mistake your kindness for weakness. I'm going to put you in a box that they can't figure out how to get open. That was deep.
Just open up my box.
That sounds similar to my personality, Tanya. They take my silence for a weakness. They don't know what to think.
You quiet?
Yeah.
No. I believe
But I don't, I guess I'm reserved, or I hold it in, like it'll take me, and that's probably not good, because then when it comes out, it's like, it's so over the top. But it's kind of like, all this stuff is going around you, you're not going to say nothing. Like, I'll distance myself from it before I let it bother me to the point of, getting confrontational with someone.
I was going to say, you don't like confrontation.
No, I don't. I'll just distance myself. I won't deal with it. So,
you got brothers and sisters?
No.
So that's the only somebody that you really can go to?
Well, I have brothers and sisters, but I grew up as only child, just me and my mom and my grandmother. So,
I got a picture at 12, 13.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And so
No, I asked that question because even you may have 5, 6, 7 sisters. Sometimes a person that's close to you, you'll shine them and go to her. I just know her. I don't know who else you have.
Right, and that's pretty much how it goes. And the two women in my life are like pistols. So I'm the opposite, but then I'm not. I have the same next to you. Well, I guess that's 3. But my mom and my grandmother are just like pop-offs.
Oh, wow.
They are.
Off the top, speak what's on their mind. Then me, I'm kind of looking at you, thinking it, but it's all over my face usually.
Right. So I can say the things and she'll just laugh. And we just
Right. Because you let her. Yeah.
She says what you're thinking.
Very much so. I can say.
Because they speak different.
Yeah. See, I need to do better.
Next lifetime.
Yolanda, your turn. You can grab.
It's my turn.
Willie did say, said, Willie's little thing was, what takes you out your comfort zone? He said when he walks out of the shower without a towel.
There's so many ways I could go with that.
Does that mean when you're passing by a mirror?
Right.
Did you forget the towel, or did you?
Are you at the gym?
There's so many ways.
For that. What was the
A
question?
sipping sister, you talking? Fire?
What takes you out of your comfort zone?
Oh, you already spoke, Fire.
I did.
She did.
Yes.
So, you spoke too?
What takes me out of my comfort zone?
Yeah.
I think when I have to be quiet.
Oh, that's a good.
It really does.
That's a good.
That's like, ooh. I mean, so let me say this. When I'm at home and I'm silent, I'm okay. Because I don't have nobody to talk to. But if I'm in public and I have to really just, and let me clarify, when I have to be silent about something that I'm passionate about. And
That makes sense, though.
because when you're passionate about it, it's perceived as you're either the angry black woman or you're aggressive. And so, and it has its positive and it has its negatives, because sometimes when you want your point to come across, it's not, because it's overpowered by your passion. So that's what's frustrating, because I have to take a sit down, be quiet, and think through it. And by the time I think through it, they've moved on to the next topic. So, yeah.
Okay. Because you want their voice to be heard, don't you, Lonnie B?
Stand up.
What?
All right. Well,
You got a shot?
Huh?
You just got a shout.
Did you do yours?
yes.
Did I do mine?
Everybody.
Yeah, I just said I'm fearless.
Somebody turn the
Really? You see my Cabo tan? It's on me. It's on me. No? Okay. Oh, well, you know.
Interesting.
So we're going to keep this party going again. We really want y'all to tune in with us on October 27th at 5 o'clock with Creeps and Silly Women. Again, go support our, it is, again, written, the author is an African American woman, so go out. She's talking about her testimony. It is going to be in Fort Worth. You can look it up online or go to Creeps and Silly Women.
Evelyn Jones Reed is the writer.
Evelyn Jones Reed is the writer, but the website is Creeps and Silly Women, thestageplay.com. That's what I was going to say. And so they'll be right here, ladies. So, yes, you see Tony, Grant, and Darren, and yes, they'll be right here with us. So, please tune in with us at 5 o'clock.
All that
Get
manliness.
your tickets so that you can sit down. Plus, no, we're really going to talk to you about My Sister's Keeper, because we really want to know, and we really want to relate to this play. So tune in with us on October 27th. We'll continue to advertise that. You'll see that on our page as well. And coming up for the month of November, again, we really want to bring back the domestic violence back. You see, we started with breast cancer. We wore pink for breast cancer awareness. We will have our purple for domestic violence. And the Susan Komen Walk is October 28th as well. That's Saturday morning. So, again, we have a lot of things that are happening in the month of October, but we always want to remember and support our women and our men who are going through the storm at the time. And so we're here with our testimonies, and that's why we created this, so that we can have this outlet to have the right conversation, a healthy conversation, and to just really identify with our truths. And so Alonda said this earlier. She said, when we believe that people will use us, step on us, deceive us, lie to us, be mean to us, etc., it becomes your reality. But the reality is the only thing a person can do. But the reality is the only thing a person can do to you is mirror back to you what you believe. So it is important to see your truth, deal with it, and own your ish. Oh, I fell off. You see that real quick? What is it on your ish? You deserve better, and you are definitely worth so much more. Last time we did a prayer. We wanted you to keep our 1/3 of our owner in prayer. Jesse, he had a successful kidney transplant, so he's recovering, and we'll continue to lift him up so that we'll hear that he's back up in no time. Also, shout out to my line sisters. Follow 97 Zeta Sigma, University of Houston. 22 Reasons the Legacy Continues. I was able to celebrate with my line sisters in Cabo, and it is 20 years. 20 years, ladies. And so going strong, and
Janita said you old.
I said she old.
had a great time. Oh, I'm old.
No.
Yes, I am. I'm the youngest on. I have a false. I am the youngest on my line, by the way. I just want everyone to know I am the baby on the line. She tried it.
You're the chapter. Your chapter. Go
You
ahead.
might be.
Everybody do this stuff. Do your chapter.
What? My chapter?
Yeah.
Oh, let I do that. I don't.
Why do you want my bitch?
Y'all
Y'all have to understand. So I'm just since I'm married couple. They all are glad. Yes.
Shout out and giving the clothes.
I'm trying to keep up from going solo. That's all I'm trying to do.
by myself.
I didn't go rogue. That was a shout.
Give your chapter. Give your chapter. Give your chapter. That's all.
It was a chapter. It was a shout.
That was for her line. It's her anniversary.
my
That's what I'm saying. Let her
bad.
celebrate.
50-year line anniversary.
My bad. I learned something.
He took ownership. He learned something.
He owned his ish.
I learned something.
We just want you to know that these our sessions are counseling sessions for them as well. So
Yes, it is.
I want y'all to know that this is ministry work here, baby. Ministry work. So yes, in the month of November, we're going to bring back again. We want to really go into domestic violence because we know that again it can be done every month, every day of the year because of the statistics and because we know so many people that it affects. So we will kick back off our domestic violence next month, and we're probably just going to turn up the heat a little bit.
Yeah, you go.
We'll have some brand new surprises.
On domestic violence.
We'll have some brand new
domestic violence. We
surprises.
say for the month of November.
Well, also October is infant
Premature.
loss and pregnancy month. So we want to ignore pregnancy loss and infant death awareness for the month of October. So we want to acknowledge that as well.
Very much so. So we'll post that again on our page as well.
Right. What are we doing in November?
We're going to continue with domestic violence.
No, she said we're turning it up.
I'm going to turn up the heat.
Yes, we're going to turn it
Oh,
already
because it's my birthday month.
Oh.
My
Y'all, we thought she was really talking about something.
But we are going to turn up the heat. We have surprise topics coming up for you. Remember, so election happens in November, so that's another thing. But again, we'll stay tuned for that after our domestic violence. We're going to turn up the heat. So it's going to get interesting around here.
Yes.
We have more guests to come into the show with us. And so, again, it'll be more interactive. So remember, tell a friend, Facebook a friend, Facebook Messenger a friend. Oh, Instagram a friend. They didn't say no to that, huh? Okay. So, again, we're here. This is my sister keeper. So, in closing, sometimes you have to forget how you feel and remember what you deserve. You are my keeper and know that I'm yours first. So straighten your crown and never be afraid to stand out. Inhale confidence. Exhale doubt. Until next time, queens and kings, we are my sister's keeper. SiSSTAS. Yes. Have a good night.
Have a good night, everyone.
Thanks for tuning in.